Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama. I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient slash survivor, uh, doing very well here in Texas. Summer, I think, is finally breaking. We've had a very mild summer, but it's starting to get a little bit warm, as you know, in Texas, but it's all good. Doing very well, very happy, helping to raise my granddaughter, and things are going great. And I'm so excited to have an amazing guest today. And his name is Kenny Perkins, and this is a little bit different interview than I usually do because Kenny does not have cancer. However, he is directly involved with cancer, and he's an LA guy, which I love, and that's why I'm wearing my Los Angeles Lakers basketball shirt. And we've been talking about sports, so and all of a sudden he says, "Oh man, we're cutting it close." So, what I'd like to do right now is introduce my very special guest, Kenny Perkins. Please introduce yourself and share with us who you are, and we're going to get a great conversation going.
Mark, let me tell you, man, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here on your show today, being on your platform. And man, it's just talking to you before the interview. It's been amazing just to hear your stories, and it's inspiring on who you are as an individual. So I wanted to say that genuinely from my heart. And I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. But yeah, it's a privilege to be here. I'm Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. And listen, I've been treating cancer patients for over 2 decades. Right. I landed in this industry by accident. I thought I was going to be an architect. And somehow it turned into me being in the medical field, and it turned into be a board certified radiation therapist, cancer coach, a podcast host, and here we are. People always ask Mark, man, Kenny, you've had cancer before or whatnot? And it's like, no, I haven't. But Mark, it starts with me treating the patients. As a radiation therapist, most facilities they see patients every 15 minutes, which would put them about 4 patients per hour. And it's not like X-ray. X-ray, you're one and done, right? Did you fall, break your arm? Did you break your leg? Yes or no? This is more a different, right? You build relationships with individuals. You see them Monday through Friday. So you get to know them, you get to know what they're going through, uh, what's on their mind, the things that they're saying and the things that they're not saying, at least from my perspective. So, you know, that's what propelled me to want to do more. It's one thing to treat patients, right? You get diagnosed, you see your oncologist, you go and see the surgeon, you go and see the radiation oncologist. Everyone sees you. You see the nurse when they talk to you. Everyone's doing their job along this journey. But what about the things that you're thinking about? Your mindset. Is these treatments going to work? Are the treatment structure? Is it for me? Am I going to be able to live and see my family? Am I going to live to be able to see my kids graduate? Am I going to go on that other vacation? All these things come into your mind. And so it was that part that wasn't being talked about that made me and inspired me to create All Talk Oncology. So I wanted to empower other cancer patients through these insightful conversations. And yeah, here we are 5 years later, just still encouraging, inspiring, and letting people know that even though you're going through something difficult, doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of your journey. It's the end of your life. There's been a lot of people that have gone on and lived uh, in spite of a cancer diagnosis.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to put your information in the description, and so people can check out your podcast as well. And you also have the way we got in touch with each other is you have a cancer group yourself. And I mean, I just love this guy's heart. I mean, what an incredible person who hasn't even gone through cancer, but has worked with cancer patients to have this incredible compassion and empathy for what people are going through. And that's a rare, rare gem of a thing that you're giving back to the world. And oh my goodness. I mean, I was telling Kenny earlier, and I'm getting chills up and down my arms. You know, I mean, yeah, this guy's great. And we just met today too. And it's been just such an honor and a joy. So thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Mark.
So you started your podcast in the during the pandemic. Talk about how that developed and how that started and some of the people that you've had the opportunity to interview.
For sure. For sure. Mark, it all started as a conversation, a side conversation. I asked a physician probably a few years prior to creating it, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool to be able to, have a podcast where people could, discuss. I didn't even say podcast, really. It was wouldn't it be kind of cool to have something where people can go and talk about cancer and, get information and share information. And then the person kind of laughed at me. The physician kind of laughed at me. It was like, oh, so would you want to be the Oprah of cancer? And I kind of thought about it and laughed a little bit and said, yeah, kind of. And that has been my thing. When I created that uh, in the pandemic, I was like, man, what can I do? I want to do more. And I thought about what I discussed before. And so it was an idea. And so then I took an idea and I brought it to fruition. And you don't know, right? I mean, like any business, this was something that for me, there's podcasts and things out there, but for me, I thought this was something different, right? I mean, I wanted to be in a position where I empowered cancer patients through these conversations. I brought in professionals, I brought in patients, their loved ones. And so it was an idea. And that idea, it's a beautiful thing when you have an idea and people believe in that and they see that vision. And so I say that because we had some phenomenal guests on our show. I mean, everyone on my show is phenomenal, but we've had some great, great guests. When Alex Trebek first got diagnosed, I seen that the whole world, we experienced that. But I thought right away, what about his wife? You see, because that it's normal for the loved one to get overlooked. And you understand that, right? Because focus is on the cancer patient. But I understood that the wife was also suffering and also going through it. And oftentimes you hear people say when the person who gets cancer, the spouse is as if they had cancer because they're feeling that same feeling. And I knew that. And so we reached out and we had Gene on the show. We had Gene Trebek, and it was a phenomenal, phenomenal interview. And, I tell you what, being able to just open up and talk about her experience has empowered other caregivers because people are caregiving, right? And so it helped them, some of the things and tools that she utilized to get through that. So we had Samantha Harris with Dancing on the Stars on the show. We've had Ananda Lewis. She was an MTV VJ on the show. We have Boss Lee, who was a phenomenon when it comes to social media. She was on our show. And it goes on and on. We continue. We are global. We've been in South Africa. We've been in Australia. We've been in Canada. We've been in India, right? We've been in Europe. And so it's just cancer doesn't discriminate. And so we make sure that we cover wherever you are or whatever you're going through. So that's kind of how that all happened and how it come to fruition.
Wow, that is just sensational. I just love that. I mean, I almost feel like I'm talking to myself. And it's so much fun to meet people of like minds with great hearts, and you're exceptional, absolutely exceptional.
Thanks.
Um, so talk about your experiences as a radiologist and what really moved you and propelled you to want to do more. Did you have relatives that have gone through cancer or close friends or just what you saw in your profession?
Yeah. Well, as a radiation as a radiation therapist, I'm a board certified radiation therapist. And as a radiation therapist, you see these patients Monday through Friday. You learn about them, their families, what they're gone through, and you want to do more. For me, I wanted to do more. But it was more than just that, really. Sometimes a person gets diagnosed and it's almost if they've been counted out because
Mhm.
a lot of times the misconceptions of cancer, right? And so it's like they've been counted out and it's just a matter of time. And for me personally, I know what it's like to be counted out in life. I've been counted out in certain times in my life. And so that resonated with me in understanding that this doesn't mean it's the end of your journey. And so talking to my patients and being able to be a light in a dark place, to be able to support them in their most vulnerable time in their life, to be able to when people trust you with in a vulnerable time in their life, you can do one or two things. And it tells you about who you are. You can take advantage of people in their vulnerability, or you can cherish that and appreciate why people trust you in that and nourish that. And that's who I am. That's my person. I'm never going to take advantage of a person in the most vulnerable time in their life. I want to be a beacon of light and be able to guide you through that journey, especially as a cancer coach, right? You talk about, what's going on with your mindset and what's happening with you. So that's why I've done this. I had never had cancer, but I do this because I know what that's like, that feeling of being counted out. And you know, life is not over because you got a cancer diagnosis.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you were to get a cancer diagnosis, and I'm not wishing it on you, what would be your approach?
Whew. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm inspired by everyone I interview and everyone I treat because the resilience it takes to bounce back after a cancer diagnosis, right? Because I'm saying this for a reason. I see two people come through the door when they're coming for treatment. You have people that have the mindset that I'm going to get through this and I'm going to beat this thing and I'm going to move forward. And you got the people who come through that are already defeated. And sometimes I question my own resiliency. I'm not. I know that I'm a person. It takes a while for me to bounce back. So when you said that question, what would I do if I got diagnosed? Man, I'm I'm blessed enough to have known so many people that can help me in this journey. And I would reach out to my resources and I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to listen to some of the people on my podcast and how their resilience propel them. And then what I would also do is just take one day at a time. It takes a team to go through this. If you think you can go through a cancer journey on your own, man, my hat's off to you if you can. But I tell you right now, what I've seen, it takes a team, and I will formulate that team, and I will surround the right people around me so that we going through a cancer journey, I have the best possible outcome as possible. That's what I would do.
I love that answer. What a great answer. Beautiful. I wouldn't expect anything less. And that is the heart of an amazing, amazing person. And thanks for sharing that part.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your Facebook page. How did you start that? And talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's all about the same. It's the same thing, right? I mean, in 2020, when we created this whole All Talk Oncology, we wanted to make sure that we supported everyone and people knew about it. So on all social media platforms, we created our page. We created community where people can come and talk about it because it's important. It's important that people feel supported. And I'm here today, not alone. I have a team that works with me, and I'm blessed to have had that. You know, I tell my team all the time, I'm the face, but my team works equally as hard, and I want to make sure I I give them I give them their flowers. Um, and so it's about that. It's about being able to create and put something in place where people can benefit from. This is all what we're doing. I've created programs for cancer patients. I have a program out, two actually. One is called "It Starts with Your Mind." It's about having the right mindset. The second program I created was "I Have Cancer. Am I Going to Die?" And it's a program that goes that lists you everything in place. What happens when you see a radiation oncologist? What happens when you go see your oncologist? What happens when you see your surgeon? What the types of foods are we eating? Are we taking in our body to prepare ourselves to get ready for surgery? I mean, all these things are important. You know, it's you know all of these changes that you're gonna make all in one day, but knowing that there's a program that can support you along the way, and that there's a cancer coach like myself that's here to support you, is what I wanted to do.
Man, that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I think there's no question in my mind. I mean, you're doing beautiful work, absolutely beautiful work, and it's desperately needed. And we're all trying to uh, advocate for cancer patients and help make their lives better. And the more people that do it, and what's most important, I think, and if you could speak to this with cancer, is we become what we are by studying, whether it be a lawyer, an accountant, uh, whatever it may be, a doctor. And we study years and years and years to become that person. But how many people actually study to become cancer patients?
Mhm.
Nobody.
Mhm.
And so as a result, when you get that cancer diagnosis, uh, you're reeling. You are on the defensive right off the bat because you are posed with life-threatening, life-changing decisions with no knowledge. So if you could speak to that, how what you do to support that issue, because that's one of my biggest things about the way the medical system deals with cancer patients is they rush them in to get treatments to get them in their system, whether they're and I've seen situations where cancer patients are rushed into treatment and they didn't need to quite rush that hard. If you could talk about that aspect.
For sure. It's a great conversation to have, and I just had it today, and it's interesting, and so I'm excited to talk about it. Listen, Mark, you said it. You get, I always say this: you get catapulted to the front of the line of dealing with what you believe is life or death. You don't know anything about cancer. You don't know. You didn't study this stuff, and now you're in the front of the line, VIP, and now you got to deal with this. Like how am I going to fight? I don't know what to do. Who do I talk? It's tough. And what has not been in place, and I hope we can transition that. And it's conversations like this that can help that transition. Is that in addition to referring you to the surgeon, the medical oncologist, the radiation oncologist, you also need to refer a cancer coach or someone who you can talk to for your mental health, right? Because when you're laying there in the middle of the night and wondering and what's happening, is this thing going to work? Is this happening? Man, I got catapulted to the front of the line. I didn't ask for this. Last week, I was in the Bahamas, or I was here and I was working on my business and I was traveling here. And now I'm faced with, I got to go get treatments. Maybe I got to get my breast removed, maybe my prostate removed. What are we talking about? It's overwhelming. And so we need more mental health in that state, in that portion of it. Instead of feeling like you're feeling rushed to make a decision, you need people to help you to say, hey, come on, I'm going to help you with this. Be a guiding light. This is a lot to take in. You understand this? I want you to, I'm not telling you to not feel anything. Feel that. Feel sad, feel down, feel depressed. But what I don't want you to do is stay there. Right. And as a coach, there's a limit to what we have. And that's why I say mental health. Because if you need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist because now you're having different types of thoughts, then that's okay. There's people, professionals for that too. But it needs to be implemented. The mental health piece needs to be implemented. And because this is not an easy thing to do. One prepares for it. So me, Kenny Perkins, AKA your cancer guy, I put these things in place so I can help guide you through this journey, guide you through this dark period of time, and then navigate and give you the resources that you need in order to talk to the right person. And it's podcasts like this, Mark, that you have that people can, hey, Mark's out here. You know what I mean? You can talk to him. There's podcasts out here that you can go to and get the encouragement that you need. That's how I do that.
I love that. Man, that is truly awesome. I have one final question for you before we close it out. If you had the power to do any of this, anything, how would Kenny Perkins help make the world a better place?
Mm, man. And it got me thinking, right? I mean, how do we make a world a better place? One, you can only control what you can control. And so there's a lot of things we take for granted, right? I said this. If you listen to my interview with Merrill Hodge, I'm referencing. He said prior to him getting cancer, it was about things. He was buying things. It was getting things. But how much are we investing into our own health? How about the things that we put into our bodies? How about the things that we're doing for the things that we're saying to ourselves? When you wake up in the morning, what do you say to yourself? Do you have affirmations that you say? Oh, I can't do this. I don't think I can get through cancer treatments. Merrill Haas says there's one thing that he possibly think that he couldn't do. I can never get through cancer. He's seen someone, I can never do that.
Share with everybody who Merrill Hodge is. I know who he is, but
Yes.
a lot of people don't.
Merrill Hodges, no, one, Merrill Hodges was a running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a phenomenal human being. You can go look him up. He's on social media, Merrill Hodge, and he's a person who is not only a fighter, but as strong as he was, he said in our interview, Kenny, I broke fingers, I broke dislocated my joints, and I was able to get back to that because when I got diagnosed with cancer, he's like, man, I didn't think I can do it. And so, is there something that I can do to change the world? I would say one, let people know that control the things you can. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's the things that you're doing with how you see your family. A lot of us have gone through traumatic things in our lives. Focus on how we heal those things, right? Because you don't know how trauma affects us on a cellular level. We don't know. We don't know. So I think being the best that we can be and as whole as we can and as loving as we can, then we can feel that.
Awesome. Kenny, thank you for an awesome interview, and I know people are going to just love to hear what you have to say. I mean, you are amazing, and we're going to put all of Kenny's information in the description. So if you want to reach out to him or follow him or join his groups, it'll be there. So I want to also thank everyone out there for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero, and make the most out of each and every day, because each and every day is a blessing. It is special, and we only go around once. So let's make the absolute most of it. And be sure to subscribe, like, make a comment in the comment section, and we will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. Thank you very much.